How you guys doing today? Ever since I made the Cleveland Golden State Warriors video, I've got a bunch more hits on my channel, which I figured I would. That's one of the reasons why I made it. And a bunch more subscribers, which I think is great. But along with that, I've also got a bunch more trolls that they constantly like to go in circles about what they're saying. And I like to comment back to people, whether they agree with me or not. But a lot of them, when I comment back, they literally repeat the same exact rhetoric that they just said after I comment back to them and ignore a half or the whole response that I say to them. Which I'll be making a few shorter videos just to get my point out for these particular types of people that just don't seem to ever understand it, so I can just point them into the direction of these videos. But this one will be about history, and there's one particular person who was commenting on my videos who was obviously black, and he was stuck in all of the black history that the African Americans in the United States are taught, and probably elsewhere as well. But I know all of this history already because I believed it at one point. I believed that black people were the original race of the world, which they might have been, but it doesn't matter. And I'm going to tell you why in a few moments here. But even if they were the original race of the world, it doesn't make you better than anyone. It doesn't mean that you should look down on white people because you heard someone else say that white people are the devil. You're not coming up with your own ideas with that, which is the entire problem about using history at all when you try to talk to someone, is you are using someone else's idea. You're using someone else's thought. You're not coming up with your own organic thought off of the information you've heard. You're literally spitting a rhetoric out that you read, you seen, you heard somewhere, someone taught you in a class, anywhere. You're just spitting that rhetoric out again. And you look very ignorant when you do that, especially when you can't come out of that rhetoric because your perspective is this big. And we live in a world where there's all of this perspective, and most people are looking at it in a narrow path. And when you're using any one type of, I don't want to say category, but information to talk to someone, you're limiting yourself a lot. So if you're using history to prove something, you're limiting yourself a lot on everything else. If you're using religion to prove something, you're limiting yourself a lot on everything else. You have to look at everything at once and put it all together because it is all linked together in some way, shape, or form. And that's why they separate it all, so that we don't understand that it's all linked together. But with history, because you are constantly talking about someone else's ideas, you can't come up with your own ideas. And you get stuck in a circle with people because you have to go back to what you learned from someone else. And you can't come up with your own idea that has to do with it because you are directly using his story. It's his story. It's not about you. It's about something else, someone else that happened in the past that you can't even prove is real. That's the other thing about his story. None of us ever can prove that any of it is real. I don't care how many videos or books or people that you line up to sit there and say it's real, you cannot prove it. It is impossible to prove that history is real because it has already happened. And we can't go and see it happen again. If we weren't there to see it happen, it didn't happen, regardless if it actually did happen. If we weren't there to see it, it didn't happen. And you can't prove it anymore past that. It is so easy in this day and age to create pictures that look like they're from the 1950s. It's so easy to make paintings from the 1700s that sit and say that they're from then, make videos about stuff from a while ago. People believe all this stuff, but you can't trust any of it because it can all be counterfeit, and it can't be proven whether it is or not. You have to go with the mindset that this is just information put in front of me, and use the information to your understanding, not to what they are telling you. That's the trick that they always do with the information they put out. They want to make it you use what they're telling you instead of you understanding what they're saying, but then using it in your own way and in your own direction with your own understanding of how things are working right now, which is what I do with everything. Most things that I have to, after I learn something, I have to sit on it for at least a day or so before I can fully process it and get off the notion that this could be something that actually is real, because I still have those thoughts sometimes, even though I know that it's not. It's the programming in my head, and the only way to get out of it is to relax and to really think through everything fully from every perspective, which takes energy. It takes time, because time is energy, and everyone's trying to do everything too quickly. They want a response right away. They want to say something right away. They throw a reaction out, and that's why everyone is in a limited perspective, because we're stuck in this time cycle that we're in right now where everything has to be done super fast, super rapidly, and it keeps everything very convoluted and very not understood by anyone, because you're just spitting out what they're telling you to say. The other thing about, if even, let's say, black people were the original people of this world, and from them is where all other races came from, fine, but that would mean that this world population would basically be completely flipped. That means that it would be mostly black people and a few white people. And I don't think the black people like how the overall of the world portrays them by the media standards and entertainment standards. That's not really how most people think, but that's what most people perceive is what everyone thinks, because that's what they're looking at. Again, perception. And because of that, they feel like they're in this minority and are always being pushed against the wall. They aren't given any opportunities. Yada, yada, yada. Everyone knows the story. When in this day and age, it has nothing to do with race, and it never has, regardless of what color the main population is on the world. It always has to do with money and power and who wants to actually take control and do what they want to do, impose their will, which any of us can do, but most of us choose not to do. And when you have those things, that's who is in control, and everything trickles down from there. It's a pyramid. Everything else under there, no matter the color, race, whatever, you're a lesser being to them. So they treat you like a lesser being. They treat you like you are someone in poverty. Doesn't matter what color you are. It would have been the same thing back then if the world population was mostly black people instead of white people. And even if you really think about it, it's completely racist how a lot of these people think that white people are the devil, and because they took over the world from them, blah, blah, blah. When, one, they're spitting out something else that someone else told them and taught them, and they believe it because they're black, and they feel like, wow, this is something that actually makes sense to me because I'm black. That's how it mostly goes, because of how we're made to feel different from the other races, particularly here in America. And because of that, it brings out racism from the black people to the white people. Well, the white people would have felt the same exact way back then if the black people were the ones that were mostly here, because the white people would have felt like they were getting pushed against the wall, I'm sure, because just by the things that they teach you now, if that stuff is true, there's no way in hell the white people would have liked the black people back then, because they talk about them like they're these dirty, nasty people that couldn't help themselves with anything, even though they tried to help them, but they didn't want help. They wanted to do it themselves, and they're a savage race. It's completely slanderous. Like, same exact thing that they talk about now. This is how black people are viewed now. They're a dirty race. They're savage. They kill their own race. They fight with their own race over things. It's the same exact thing that they tell you if you listen to the black African history about white people. It's just flip-flopped. This is how they keep us going in these circles and cycles to keep us trapped in eternity, because they keep changing it, and we change with them because we're not using our own thoughts. We're using their thoughts. And they know as long as we are external, using their thoughts, they can control us. That's why they want to keep us looking at them, looking up. They don't want us to look down and look inside, away from everything. Because when you're not looking at any of it, you're not going to use any of it. They want you to keep looking towards them. They want you to stay quiet, do what they say, and stay in line, which is exactly how you end up with someone else's thoughts and beliefs, and believe that you actually came up with them, when it's really us that brings this universe into existence, and we are the ones that need to come up with our own thoughts so that we can get out of it. Once we come up with our own thoughts and understanding of everything, it's all going to go away. It's that simple. Just gotta stop looking on the outside, start looking on the inside. But that's all I wanted to say for this video. I'll be making another one. I don't know if I'll make it today or not, but shortly here. Talk to you guys later.